Hello everyone, welcome to another session of Schneider Electric PLC training tutorials where you will learn Schneider Electric PLC programming. Now let's see what we have in this video. In this video we are going to study what PLC arrays are, how PLC arrays are created and how they are used. And we are going to conclude it with the use of arrays in a PLC application. What is an array? An array is a group of elements, or arrays are a group of elements that share the same data type. They are not fundamental data types, but rather derived data types. For example, this is a one-dimensional array of 10 elements. So the array index begins from 0 to n minus 1 if n is the number of elements. So this is a 10-element array of type Boolean. This is an example of a 5-element array of type integer. So it's a 1 by 5 array and this is a 1 by 10 array. And we can also have two-dimensional and even three-dimensional arrays. For two-dimensional array, this is how we declare them, or this is how they can be declared. And this is an array with 2 rows, 10 columns. So it's actually a 20 element array of type real. Okay, so here you have to specify the row and the column that the array belongs to access the element of the array. Now, what are the importance of arrays? Arrays are extremely useful for grouping data types together that share the same format. For example, say your application has 20 safety sensors that all need to stop a process if something goes wrong. Then you may want to consider putting them in an array so that you will have just one variable that will report several information. Also, you can also use arrays. For example, a motor may send a packet of information to your PLC over a network. So this packet could consist of the motor speed, the motor temperature, the vibration, the voltage, and so on. And now if you have 10 motors, grouping all the data into speed array, temperature array, voltage array, and so on will become very beneficial if at all you have to verify that information at some later time. So it becomes very important. And also, considering a situation where you have to measure the temperature of a boiler, okay, at different points and computing the average. Reading those data and storing them in an array and computing the average becomes very easy if you have to manage it with an array. This is also another use case scenario where an array becomes very handy. And finally, you may also have to store the temperature of an oven. You may want to track the temperature profile of an oven over time. You may decide to read the temperature every 8 hours or every 5 hours and store them in an array for later use. Alright, so now let's see how we can use arrays in PLC. So let's open our application, our software. So we are going to start by creating an array. So to create an array, we are going to go to the function block instance. We're going to go to derived data type as DDTs. Now, I want to create now an array which is going to hold temperature of a boiler. For example, the case that we had earlier, the temperature of a boiler where it reads the temperature at 5 different points and compute the average temperature of the boiler. So I'm going to call it temp. Okay, I'll call this array temp. And I will select the type of the array. I'll validate. So it is now bool. I want to select a real type. And I will select the number of elements. So there are 5 elements, so my index will go from 0 to 4. Now click OK. And now my array has been created. What I'll do now, I'll have to build a project. And next I have to now create an instance of that array. So I can now say boiler temperature, for example. Okay, so it has created an instance of that array. So if I drop it down, I'm going to see what I will see 5 element array which has been created. I may decide to give it initial values if I want, but if not, then the initial values will all be 0. So I will allow it at that level. Now I'll go to my application I'll go to my application and I will drop the add block to compute the average. So I'll go to data selection, add, then I'll drop it here. Actually, I need 5 inputs. Okay, so I'll browse for the first one, I'll browse for the second, then I'll browse for the rest. Okay, now I'm going to put a Boolean switch to control the add operation. So let me see that when this switch is closed or pressed, so I'll just call it switch. So I'll allow it Boolean, extended Boolean, I'll validate. And I want this to be added and given and be assigned to a certain variable. So I will bring in the division block. And I will divide it by 5. And let's say I will just call this result. I'll allow it will. Okay, good. Now I'll build the project once more. Okay, so there are no errors. I will now connect to the PLC. Transfer project. Run after transfer. Okay, so now my entire application is now on a standby mode. Okay, because I have not activated the switch. So let me give some values to this data. So I'll go to modify. Let's say I'll give this data, let's say the current temperature is, let's say the current temperature is 100 degrees. This one is 200 degrees. This one is, say, 50 degrees. Or let's say it's also 200 degrees. And this one is, say, let's say 100 degrees. And this third sensor is reading, let's say, 90 degrees. Okay. Now let's assume that this condition becomes true and the average is computed. So I'll set it to 1. Alright, good. So you realize that if you sum all of these, 100 plus 200, 300, 300 is 500, 600, 699. So this is sum divided by 5 will give you 130. So this becomes now the average value of the temperature of the boiler. So you notice that we have used just a single variable. We have used just a single variable to manage several parameters of the boiler. Okay, so I hope that this was informative enough for you. So let's go back to the presentation. So review. So let's see what now you've understood. You understood what arrays are, how to create arrays, applications of arrays, and an example use case of arrays. So that will be it for this video. In the next video, we are going to look at how to work with structures, that is structured type in PLC applications. Thank you for watching, and please do well to give this video a thumbs up, share it, and subscribe. If there's anything you didn't understand in this video, please feel free to put it in the comment section below. So see you in the next video.